Hello YouTube friends, Ben.o.cichlid here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Some of you know that recently I had an issue with one of the fish that was just becoming a little bit too aggressive, and I thought the issue was over, and it was to some degree. The trout, which is the fish I'm talking about, you can see a picture of him right here. The trout was calmed down a bit, but it was calmed down with all the other fish, but he was still, I noticed, singling out the fusco. And if I had just let it go on, he probably would have killed that fusco. He just wouldn't give him any rest at all. So I had to take some desperate measures. Let's talk about it here, and you tell me what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get right into it. If you're new to this channel, and you always like to be learning and getting new ideas about how to take care of your fish, be sure to hit that bell and that sub, that sub icon, and that way you'll be sure to always get notifications when I post new material and when I go live on Saturdays, usually around 10 a.m. Pacific, for the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. All right, let's talk about some desperate measures I had to take in order to get a situation under control that involved the aggression of my Malawi trout, focused almost entirely on my Nimbochromis, my fusco. Let's take a look. As talked about in a prior video, the trout had really started to assert himself and really moved up the order, the command line, if you will, and surpassed the fusco and the eye biter. And then things calmed down a bit, so I thought things were going to settle down entirely. But then I noticed that even though he had stopped picking on other fish, he was continuing to pick on the fusco. And the fusco was looking a little bit torn up with some scale damage and fin damage, and that kind of stuff really destroys your defenses against disease. And between the stress and losing those scales, you become pretty exposed to anything that might be floating around, and I didn't want to lose him to disease or just have him killed off altogether by the trout. So I had to come up with a plan. And on these kind of situations, you really have only several options. Get rid of the aggressor, get rid of the fish that's being beaten up, or try to spread the aggression around by adding a large number of fish. I decided to go with Plan C and proceeded to prepare the 100 for the removal of any fish that I thought could survive in the 150. I'd been thinking for quite some time now that some of these were ready to move over, like that hawk and also the sand diver. I think they had a good enough attitude, enough size to go ahead and move over to the 150. Some of these have been tried in the 150 before and had to be pulled back because it was just too rough for them. That turquoise hap, I was going to go ahead and move him out, and I'd go ahead and move out this deep water hap, who had been tried in the 150 before but failed. Since then, he had put on some size, and I think he'd do better this time. I was going to try also to remove the Bucchromis notitania, see how he would do along with the other one that is currently in the 150. After a lot of splashing and chasing, I had my fish together, and I took them over to the 150 in the bucket. And you can see the first one here is the super red empress. Beautiful fish. I hope that red empress does better this time than he did last time. The next fish that I pulled out of the bucket here, I use my hands. I'm very, very gentle. You can see one of the living stone eye. The big brother of the living stone eye is in this 150. We'll see how that goes. He's a real beast. And the next one here, I was able to catch out of the bucket, is one of the turquoise haps. We'll see how the turquoise hap does in this tank. Hopefully he won't be harassed and he'll be able to start to blossom and show some of those beautiful colors. I believe here we have the Z-Rock, one of my oldest haps. A very pretty fish. Had him in the 150 for a while, but I had to take him out. This is a deep water Plastidechromis, another fish that I had put in the 150 before and had to take out, but he's put on some size since then, so I'm hoping he'll have a good go this time. Here's the hawk, and I think the hawk is ready for this tank. We'll know soon enough. But I think he's got the size and the attitude that'll make it okay for him in the 150. Here's the sand diver. Perhaps the sand diver will put on some size in the 150. They can get pretty large, and I'm looking forward to watching that guy put on some more size and the rest of his color, even though he's pretty spectacular now. Here's another living stoneye, and we'll see how the two smaller ones get along with that much larger one, who's actually their brother, which is kind of interesting. And it looks like I got the long nose there. And the screen I'm working on is a little small, hard for me to identify them sometimes. And here is the dragon blood. So here they all are in the tank, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of confusion. Everybody wondering what the heck is going on. It's hard to believe that that large living stoneye is the brother of those two other ones that were really little squirts compared to that beast. You can see the deep water. You can see the that sort of hybrid Z-Rock there with the purple and orange. That's that older, beautiful fish I've had for quite some time. Hopefully he'll do okay here. I had to take him out before because it was a little rough. And there is the sand diver, immediately looking a bit lighter. I think that may be related also to the fact that he's on a lighter substrate. You get a bit of more of a lighter sparkle in the fish. There's the long nose that I got from James Largo over at the Cichlid Shack. And everyone seems to be a bit confused, and a bit antsy, but no one seems to be acting crazy. The Fusco, of course, is still retreated in the corner and is now joined by the Dragon Blood and the Super Red Empress, just trying to stay out of the way. This tank probably has some bad memories for that Super Red Empress. Hopefully this time this will be a good go-round for him. And there is the Fusco. Did it for you, buddy. That's why all this confusion, so you'll have a chance. And of course, I also did it. There's one of the turquoise haps, and of course, I also did it because of this large trout. You know, you really have only a couple choices: remove the aggressor, remove the one that's being beat up, or try the theory of adding a lot of fish, like I have here. And see if that spreads it around enough so that they can all coexist. When you do something like this, it's always a good idea to turn the lights off, let everybody kind of settle down. And so my work here with this tank was pretty much done. I was going to go ahead and observe what was going on and a little bit, and I didn't notice anything crazy, so I went back to go put the 100 together. I'd given up trying to chase him from side to side, so I put a divider in. That's just a simple fluorescent ceiling light diffuser you can pick up at any hardware store. You can just cut them to size, and they make pulling fish out of a tank much easier. In this case, I had to put the divider in and pull all the plants out because the fish were just being real fast and smart and were almost impossible for me to catch. So I finally ended up having to pull it all out, and now it was time to put it all back together again so it looked like a decent tank. I put the plants in and took the divider out, and I was pretty surprised at how fast things actually cleared up. This tank is being filtered by one FX6, but I think it's the position of the power heads and the way they move detritus around and eventually get it over to the filter intakes. I think that's why it's able to keep this tank so clean, especially with the black substrate that shows everything. You can see here from the side that the floating particulates, the detritus, has been pretty much scooped up, even though a lot of it was stirred up in pulling out the plants and chasing the fish around, as you're familiar with. The Buccochromis managed to evade the net. Pretty impressive. So one of them did stay back in the 100, two of them actually, and one of the turquoise haps was also able to elude me, so he'll be staying back in the 100. So those are the desperate measures I had to take. Have you had to take measures like that in the past with your fish? I'd like to hear about it in the comments below. Be sure to share your experiences and what the outcome was and if it was successful for you. I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope to see you on Saturday at the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. And stop on by on Facebook at ben.o.cichlid. Great group on Facebook. And if you want to see some behind the scenes video and pictures, follow on Instagram at ben.o.cichlid. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are appreciated, and I'll see you again next time.